healthcare is a priority in any society, just like education. And this election that is coming, politicians have started blowing what I call hot air. But besides all the noise and all the grandstanding, there are basic questions you must ask them. The services they are providing to the people, especially those at the grassroots level, the local government, the community. A lady died, and there's argument of whether or not anti-venom drug is available across Nigeria, in a country that has snakes. We can keep that argument on, but the truth is that not everywhere has it. Could there be a reason? Now, one of the reasons given is the fact that something could be expensive to maintain. Maintaining means, do they have the storage facility to keep these vaccines at a certain temperature throughout the lifespan of that particular, permit me to use the word vaccine now, or that anti-venom. Now, so we found out that somewhere in our local government, something of that nature, they call it the cold chain storage facility. We want to talk with the expert there at the primary healthcare center as to what is required for basic provision of things like the solar powered, so that every other local government, every other community maybe can emulate. That's our job here, to make communities' life a lot better, not just for those of us in the city center. I've been joined in the program by Dr. Deborah Amalayo. She's the Medical Officer of Health in Emoa local government. Madam, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me too.
I would want to assume that you heard about the incident that involved a lady called Naya, God rest her soul, where she was bitten by a snake. Well, issues around whether the anti-venom was administered early or not, or whether a second dose was required. But why we brought you is because you work at the very community level where you interface with the people. And we understand that that local government has what they call that cold, I'm trying to get the name correctly, cold chain storage facility to preserve, you know, things like that in that sense. And it's a solar-powered facility. But walk us through as a health professional, what are the basics that are needed in a primary health care facility across the country, using yours as a case study?
Okay. Good morning once again, and thank you so much for having me. Concerning primary health care, especially in the rural communities, the basics that should be available should be the healthcare facility, primary healthcare facility. The infrastructure should be on ground. And then, aside infrastructure, there should be people working in these facilities. So there should be human resource for health in these facilities. And then, concerning the equipment, we should have, just like you mentioned, the cold chain equipment is one of the very basic things that should be found in a primary healthcare center, because it is the means by which we're able to preserve the vaccines that we use for preventing vaccine-preventable diseases, for taking care of vaccine-preventable diseases. So every healthcare facility should have a cold chain equipment with which they will be able to preserve their vaccines. So for us in MOA, all our healthcare facilities have this cold chain equipment. So at the local government council, there is a cold chain store at the local government council where vaccines are transported from the state to the local government health authority via the cold chain, and they are stored in this cold chain equipment, pending when they will be shipped out for use at the various facilities. So that's how we operate.
So the more important question would now be, how readily available is this cold chain storage in all the local government areas of River State, especially in the case of an emergency when something like this occurs?
Yes, this cold chain equipment or the cold chain store is available in all 23 LGAs in River State. So every LGA you go to, you are going to find a local government health authority cold chain store, and then you are also going to find cold chain storage equipment in the various health facilities that are being taken care of by the River State Primary Healthcare Management Board. So there's no doubt about these facilities being there in all the 23 local government areas of the state.
Right. So this conversation is also to shed light on primary healthcare centers. There are a lot of people who are probably listening to me right now that do not know the address or location of the primary healthcare center closest to them. So when they have any health issue, the first thing they think of is either a private hospital or a tertiary hospital in that state. And I don't know if that's something you've also noticed, a trend you have noticed where you are. I wonder what you think is responsible for it. Yes, we know that a lot of these places, these primary healthcare centers, don't have the right facilities. And what must we do to ensure that we restart that culture, that your first port of call should be the primary healthcare center, one, and the primary healthcare centers must have the adequate facilities. Maybe you can share your success story with us. How has it worked for you?
Okay, so thank you very much for that question. One thing that stands out in primary healthcare is community dialogue and advocacy. So for us in primary healthcare, we always try to ensure that the communities we serve, we are in touch with the communities we serve. So we do a lot of advocacy to communities, to stakeholders in communities, to ensure that they are in the know concerning the facilities that are available to them, the primary healthcare facilities that is available to them, and that they utilize these facilities. Most of the time, just like you mentioned, people tend to turn towards the private healthcare facilities, not even minding that they have primary healthcare facilities around them. Maybe because they think that they don't have the requisite manpower to take care of their needs, their medical needs and all that. But be that as it may, I want to use this medium to still appeal to the general public to let them know that right from the federal government to the state and the local government, there is a mandate that every ward should have a primary healthcare facility. So all the wards in the state should have a primary healthcare facility, although there are some that do not have for now. But there are plans on ground, in ensuring that every ward has a primary healthcare facility. Take, for instance, the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund that is being made available by the federal government. That funding is available so that every ward has a primary healthcare facility. Not just having the facility, but having the basic equipment they need to do their work. And also, they also have the necessary personnel, available to do the work.
Right.
So the federal government is putting in so much in terms of Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. The state government is doing her part in ensuring that there is revitalization of these facilities so that people can come in and, be comfortable in these facilities. The environment is conducive, and they're able to, the personnel there are able to render their services to people in a conducive environment. So people should, forget about the bias of the past and come to terms with the reality on ground. Because our primary healthcare centers are functional and should be used.
Well, Doctor, the state of, if I could call it grassroots healthcare, leaves much to be desired across the country. I mean, there was a conversation online yesterday about Kwara State, for example, not having a single MRI equipment, and the government released a statement afterwards saying that it has procured a state-of-the-art 160 slice CT scan and a modern 1.5 Tesla MRI machine, which will soon be commissioned for public use by all Kwarans, saying that more efforts are in the pipelines. And that's just one state. Imagine if we were to go to other states across board, what you will find will leave much to be desired. So that's, again, why we're having this conversation. It's an all-important conversation. But I want you to, by way of some sort of enlightenment, walk us through what you're able to deal with at the primary level. Because people have malaria, for example, and straight they head to the other state or federal medical center. What are the kinds of what I call ailments, diseases, conditions, or situations that you're able to care for before you then escalate? So walk us through. What should people come to you for? What should they not come to you for?
Okay, thank you so much for that. Concerning the services that is being rendered in the various primary care centers, we call our centers a one-stop shop because we are able to render a range of services. So we are able to deliver antenatal care services to our pregnant mothers when they come in. And we are also able to render family planning services to them after childbirth. And for all women of childbearing age, their family planning services are available for them in the various primary health care centers scattered across the state. We also offer immunization services. So that is one very key thing that we find in all our primary health care centers. Even the ones that are tier 1, at least they can render immunization services to our newborn and children under 5. So immunization services are available. We are also able to deliver laboratory services. So for things like malaria, for things like making a diagnosis of diabetes, we have equipment to be able to screen for hypertension and also be able to treat hypertension, diabetes, common illnesses, screen for HIV and also manage the condition. So the laboratory services are available. The another aspect of the laboratory services is the TBL services that we render. So tuberculosis, is not something that is something that our facilities can handle. We screen for TB, and then drugs are also available for TB treatments in our facilities. We also have we have talked about family planning, immunization services in there.
All right, madam.
Management of public illness.
I think your point is well noted, and we needed to bring in, sometimes we talk national. As we speak right now, yesterday or so, the federal government released, the Ministry of Finance released, gave a release of the FAC allocation for December, 1.9 trillion for the federation, state, federal, and local government area. So we need to now go down to local government. Now we are hoping for full autonomy, even though it's not there yet, where we begin to ask critical questions as to what these monies are meant for and what they are used for at the very local level. But almost thank you for coming through. We thought we could see the coaching facility right where you are, but maybe technical or some other issues could not allow us to see it. But Dr. Deborah Malayo is the medical officer of health in Emoha, local government area of Rivers State. Thank you, madam, for coming on the program.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the state of the nation, Electoral Act Amendment, party politics, opposition politics, national security. We're going to bunch it up and binge through all of it with Professor Anthony Killer in just a moment. Stay with us.